Welcome back to the PC Rehab. I'm so happy that you're here because today we're going to build a $500 system with all brand new parts. Now, while I would love to take credit for this build, I can't do that because I had asked a few people inside of my Discord to come up with a $500 build that can play Modern Warfare 2. Now, there are quite a few different items here, and I will go over them as we're putting together our $500 system. But some of the stars of the show are the 6500 XT graphics card and the 5500 AMD CPU. And with that price tag being so low at $500, is this the best gaming PC you can build for $500 in 2023? You'll have to let me know in the comment section down below. I'm so excited to put this computer together that I decided that today was the right day to wear my Pizza Planet shirt. Pizza Planet. So just like with most builds, we're going to start with the computer case by taking both the side panels off. Now, the case we did decide to go with is the Roswell Prism case. And if you're trying to build a computer on an extreme budget, this case is a no-brainer. It is extremely affordable, and it comes with 4 included RGB fans with a fan controller in the back, and you're able to control your RGB with the touch of a button on the top. It's not hard to pick this case from others if you're trying to build a case that has a lot of RGB. The only downside that I see to the case is that it has a top-mounted power supply unit, which isn't the end of the world. It's just usually you'll find that you mount your power supply at the bottom of your case so that heat can rise, but it does have a hole here so that the power supply can suck in air and expel it out the back. So with our case prepped and side panels removed, we're gonna push that out of the way for a minute because right now it is time to start preparing our motherboard. Now, to prep the motherboard for this $500 build, we are going to use the items that you see in front of you. We are gonna use the A520M motherboard by Gigabyte. I have 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. I have a Ryzen 5 5500 and a CPU cooler by ID Cooling. This is in fact the exact same CPU cooler that we used in our first giveaway. And that reminds me, if you are not entered to win this channel's current giveaway computer, hit the card up above and watch that video so that you can win a computer that's worth way more than $500. But then come back here to learn how to build the $500 computer if you don't win. So let's go ahead and get our motherboard out of the static protection bag. We're gonna put it on top of our motherboard box. That just gives you a flat surface. It's anti-static and it just keeps everything just a little bit safer. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're going to go right into our CPU. So to put our CPU into our motherboard, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna lift this little arm here. And then you're gonna wanna take your CPU and you're gonna wanna find this tiny little triangle in this corner. And you're gonna wanna match it to the triangle that's in the corner on one of your motherboards. So you're gonna go ahead and match those 2 triangles, and then you're gonna give it a little wiggle, make sure it's nice and secure. Take your bar and then close it down nice and tight. And now your CPU is installed. So your memory is probably one of the easiest things to install onto a motherboard. All you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna make sure that the top tabs and the bottom tabs are pulled back, and then you line the memory stick up into your DIMM slot. Make sure that they're nice and even, everything's looking good, and then once you feel like you've got them placed down, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna give them a little tug until you hear those tabs snap back forward, locking it into place. The last piece of prep work for the motherboard for our $500 PC is gonna be to put the CPU cooler on. Now, a CPU cooler is not hard to install. You just wanna make sure that you read the instruction manual because it's different based off of if you're using AMD or if you're using Intel. The brackets that you're gonna use are a little different, and then what generations play some factor into it as well. But they're really not that difficult. Just make sure that you read the installation manual before you go ahead and start screwing things down. So the instructions say that you should put these red standoffs, that's for the AM4 motherboards, down here, and then you will use these brackets right here to place, that's upside down, there we go, right here. So that way you can go ahead and you can screw your CPU cooler down onto these screws here. So now that the brackets are in place for our CPU cooler, we need to go ahead and we need to put some thermal paste on there. Now, most aftermarket CPU coolers, they're gonna come with thermal paste to apply onto your CPU. And if you're gonna save even more money and use the stock cooler, this comes with the thermal paste already on here. And there are so many people that debate on whether doing an X is the right way, a dot in the center is the right way to apply thermal paste. I just put an X, and I have never had an issue. So do whatever feels right for you, but I typically think that just putting an X is just fine. Now, something that's overlooked more often than you think is this piece of plastic right here. Typically, people are too excited to put their CPU cooler on that they don't even pay attention that this plastic is here. If you leave this on and you install this and you turn on your system and you plant, it's not going to function properly. So you need to go ahead and remove this so that it's bare metal. All this copper here needs to be placed directly onto the CPU. And now that our thermal paste is attached, we are going to go ahead and place this down. You want to try to line it up with the two screws that you're going to be screwing it down into. And you're gonna wanna make sure you start tightening. Now, don't just tighten one side, tighten both sides. Make sure one is in a little bit and then make sure the other one is in there. So now we are both fastened, and then go ahead and start tightening. Now, don't tighten down just the right and then go to the left or vice versa. The reason you don't wanna do that is because you have thermal paste applied down the bottom. Now, if you have thermal paste here on your top of your CPU and you put pressure here, but you're only putting the pressure on this side, it's going to shift that thermal paste over. So you wanna kind of just give it a couple screws on both sides so that way it's getting fastened and it's making sure your thermal paste is nice and snug right underneath. So the last thing that we need to do is we need to attach the fan that comes with our CPU cooler. Please pay attention to which direction your airflow is going. If you can see these bars in this back plate here, that's the way the fan is pushing air. So air is coming through the front here and out the back. This is the back. Now you can do pull configurations or you can do push. I like the push configuration to push it through the fins and then out the back of the case. And just like that, our motherboard is ready to get thrown into our system. But first, let's go ahead and put our power supply in our case. Now, as I said earlier, this case has a top-mounted power supply. Most of the time, you're gonna find that your power supply unit is mounted down at the bottom. That's because heat rises, and that frees up the top so that heat can naturally just float out of the computer. It's not gonna make a huge difference, but it is something that a lot of people don't really like these days. But you're gonna wanna make sure for this case that you have your fan pointed inward because there is a hole right here for air to pass in and then out of the system through the back of the power supply. Now, while I am screwing in this power supply, if you're enjoying this video, go on down and hit the subscribe button. And if you're feeling frisky, hit the thumbs up button too. It would mean a whole lot to me. Now that the power supply is securely fastened inside of our case, it is time to go ahead and get our motherboard in there as well. Now, I know in a lot of videos, you'll watch me attach motherboards while the case is still standing up. I only do that for video purposes. It is so much easier to attach a motherboard to a case with the case laying down. So once you have your case laying down, you are going to want to locate all of your standoffs. This is what you will be screwing your motherboard to. And then you're also going to want to find your I/O shield because you're going to want to put that into your case before you go ahead and screw down your motherboard. But now that our I/O shield is in, we can go ahead and line up our motherboard so that we can go ahead and screw it down. So now that our motherboard is attached to the case, we are at the home stretch. All that's really left to do is to install your SSD and then make sure that all remaining plugs are in, like your USB 3.0 your power pins, reset pins, your HD audio, but after that, you are pretty much done. So our $500 PC is fully put together. Now it is just time to see if it'll turn on and if we can get an image from it. So let's go ahead and push this button. Oh, all right. Man, I do like this case. Now let's just see if we can get an image. Come on, baby. Give me something. And there it is. $500 PC, ready to go. Now, you're gonna have to wait until Wednesday to see if it plays. I'm just kidding, no, we are going to play games. Let's go ahead and get some Windows installed onto this thing and play some games. So the whole idea around this PC was to get people into Modern Warfare 2 at a high quality gameplay at an extremely affordable price. And I most certainly think that that goal was accomplished. Shout out to Nightlight and Bounty Hunter from my Discord for coming up with such an awesome build. We hovered around 90 FPS the entire time, and the graphics, they look amazing. So bravo guys, you did it. Now I didn't want to just stop with Modern Warfare 2 because who wants to just play one game, am I right? So we put Forza 5 into the system and got a solid 60 FPS and a great picture as well. The computer never had issues running this game. But let's really push this PC. So next up we tried God of War, and this, my friends, is a very high quality game, but this little $500 computer had no issue getting a great picture as well as some very nice FPS. And lastly, I needed to see how this computer would fare in Hogwarts Legacy. It's a crowd favorite right now, but it's a very demanding game and not everyone's computer can handle it, but our little monster, she did a very good job. The FPS overlay for some reason wasn't functioning, but it is set at medium graphics and we still get a very smooth image and what looks like to be around 40 to 50 FPS. So you're gonna have to excuse me if I look a little tired. I was up all night playing Modern Warfare on this computer because I was just having way too much fun. Something that I really love about our $500 build is that it's still very upgradable. So if you wanted to improve on the graphics card, you could easily take this one out, sell it for some cash, and then buy a better one and throw that one in here and get even better frames. I hope that this video helps some people not only find the PC that they can afford, but also teach you how to build it yourself, because that's half the fun. But if you don't want to build your own PC and you want me to build this PC for you, let me know in the comments section down below if that is something that you'd be interested in, because I am entertaining the idea of building quite a few computers and then putting them for sale. And maybe you guys would want to buy them? But even if there is absolutely no interest in purchasing a computer that I build for you, I'm so happy that you are here to enjoy these videos with me. And remember that no matter where you are in the world, I hope that you are having a fantastic day. And I will see you in the next video.